Have you ever been bored or sitting at home with your friends trying to find something to do? I have a solution. It's called Magic the Gathering, and it's a card game that's been around for nearly 25 years. While it may seem nerdy, there's actually plenty of famous people who play this game. There's Cassius Marsh, an NFL football player, plays defensive end for the San Francisco 49ers, Josh Barnett, a retired MMA fighter, and Seth Rogen, a very well-known actor. Today we're going to learn the history of the game. We're going to learn about the different kinds of cards. We're going to learn how to actually play the game, and then we're going to learn different ways to play the game. So the game was first being developed in 1991 by Richard Garfield with the help of many playtesters. He originally was going to take the game called Robo Rally to Wizards of the Coast, but the game was originally declined because there was no potential left in it. And they saw the potential in Magic the Gathering and decided to start it up. It was released August 5th, 1993, and with its wild success, they didn't even want to advertise the game because so many people were buying out the cards that if they advertised, there would be too much demand for the supply. In 1999, it was bought from Wizards of the Coast for $325 million by Hasbro. So with the cards, the first set was called Alpha, released in 1993, and then a year later, it was Beta in 1994. But the year after that, the first revision was made in 1994 with the revised set. But before that, there was a set called Arabian Nights, which has some of the most valuable cards in the game, worth thousands of dollars. And then Mirage in 1996 changed how the sets were released. Before that, they were just released kind of whenever, but in 1996, they were released biannually, or not biannually, but on a regular basis. And then in 2009, revisions were made to the core set, plus 3 expansion sets, which were just kind of like random sets of different kinds of cards, would make up a block for standard play, which is a kind of a way to play the game. And then in 2015, with the stopping of the core sets, the standard version was now just 2 sets released biannually, plus other current sets. The Pro Tour for the game was created in 1996 and was first held in New York City. And since then, there's been Pro Tours every single year for the different kinds of ways to play the game, including Standard, Modern, Legacy, all that. So the different kinds of cards are, there's lands, which you tap for mana so you can play your other cards. Tapping is just the turning of it sideways, which represents you added it to your mana pool. There's creatures, which you use to either attack or block your opponent's creatures or to attack your opponent. There's artifacts, which have different effects, which can either affect you, creatures, or just different things. And then there is enchantments, which are similar to artifacts, but they have different effects usually. Then there are instants, which you can cast anytime throughout the game, and it can just has different effects. And then there are sorceries, which are a lot like instants, but you can only cast them during your turn. How you actually play the game is you start by untapping all of your things at the beginning of your turn so you can reuse them again on your turn. You start with 20 life, and your objective is to get your opponent down to 0 life. You go through all the different phases, which are the untap, which you untap all your stuff, your upkeep. This is where different effects will happen from your cards. And then you have your draw phase, where you draw a card off the top of your deck. Then you have your main phase, which is where you cast all of your spells, play all your cards. And then you have your combat phase, which is where you choose if you're going to attack your opponent or if you're not going to attack your opponent. And then you have declare attackers inside that combat, where you choose what creatures you want to attack. Declare blockers, which is where your opponent chooses what creatures he wants to block with. And then you have damage, which is where all the damage is dealt. Then you have the end of combat, and then you have a second main phase where you can cast any more spells that you want to. And then you have the end of your turn, and then it's your opponent's turn. The different kind of formats are, there's a modern, which is you can play any card from 8th edition on up that isn't on the ban list. There's Legacy, which you can play almost any card from throughout Magic history without it being on the ban list. There's Standard, which is all of the newest cards within Magic, like the past, I think it's 6 sets. And then there's Commander, which is a kind of format where it's not, they don't play tournaments for it yet, so it's just kind of, it's a fun format. You have one card which you keep out of your deck, and you can cast it anytime during your turn, but each time it leaves, you have to pay 2 more, and you can only have one of each card in your deck. So we learned the history of the game. We learned the different kinds of cards you play within the game. We learned how to play the game. And we learned the different ways to play the game. Thank you.